A very important concept to understand in any programming or scripting language is the concept of if statements. Now, an if statement is basically where you are stating a preconceived condition, and depending on whether that condition exists or not, you would like a certain action to happen. So, as you can imagine, this is crucial to many aspects of programming and automation, and indeed reporting can also rely on this sort of item. So I'm going to do a very basic example of an if statement in PowerShell, just so from a syntax point of view, syntactically speaking, it makes sense. So I'm going to start by creating a variable for get service, and I'm going to choose a service. I am going to use the Xbox Net API service, which I've done in a couple of videos. And the reason for this is simply because the service is not important, and it is something that I can turn this off or on. It makes no difference to me. An important piece of advice is be careful when you're using PowerShell to manage services. So, having done that, if I have a quick look at my variable, you can see that I have an object here for service, and what I need to do now is actually work with creating the if statement. So to do this, I simply type if left bracket, and what I'm going to say is service.status equals running, right bracket, then left parentheses, and I'll put the right parentheses in there. And basically, now at this stage, I have stated my condition, so now I need to say if that condition is met, what do you actually want me to do? Now, what I'm going to do is a very simple basic test. And I know that I've done another video where I talk about you should use write output instead of write host. I'm going to just put write host because we are looking at the screen. It is an interactive session. It is a little bit more helpful to have this, and we can do a little bit more to make it stand out for the demo. So I'm going to say if the status of my Xbox Net API service is running, then I want you to print to the screen hello, and let's put can I put, is it service name? Yeah, there we go. Service name. Okay, so let's try this. And that did not quite like my variables. Let's create a new variable here called get service. Sorry, called service.name. Does that work better? It does. Great. And I tell you what, to spice things up a little bit, I'm going to put a foreground color of green. Right, let's try this again. Great. So you can see in the output here that it has put in green, hello Xbox Net API service. Now, to continue my if statement, I am going to put an else in there. Now, I'm sure anyone with any degree of understanding of programming or scripting, or indeed logic, would understand that what I'm saying here is if the service status is running, then print to screen this. Else, i.e. if it is not doing that, then let's write something else. Service is down. And let's put that into a color of red. Red is bad, which means the service is down. So I'm going to run this one more time. And as you can see, the condition is still true. The service is running. And for that reason, I'm getting this green Hello Xbox API service. So let's change the service to be shut down. So if I take my service again, use the stop method, run that. I'm just going to double check that the service is stopped, which it appears to be. Let's see what happens now. service is down. Now this is because the condition here of the service status running is false, and what that means is it cannot run any of the code in here because that condition is not met. So it skips that and it goes to the else condition instead. And for that reason, it has now put services down. Now, just to take this example a little bit further, hopefully that nicely explains how an if statement works at a very basic level. And there's additional things you can do and tie this into scripts in a more comprehensive way. This is really just where I want to start, but just to show you a little bit of automation coming into play here, because this is a genuine example of how something might be done in an enterprise environment, is I am going to actually put down right host again, attempting to start the service name service, and I'm going to put this into, I wonder if there is an orange color or amber or something we can work with. Now I'm not going to put a warning or an error for this. I want to talk about those in a different video. I'll tell you what, let's bring that in there now. I've been persuaded. Just close that. So the if statement, nothing structural has changed in the if statement. What is happening now is I'm simply adding more logic to the else, so that a little bit more PowerShell is happening, but the if statement continues to act in the same structure it did at the start of this example. So if I run this now, it tells me that service is down, and then I get a warning to say that attempting to start the Xbox Net API service. And to be true to the warning, let's actually try and start that. Now, I should do a try catch, but we have not covered those so far, and I would like to come back to that in another video. I am very confident that the service can be started simply by taking my variable and using the start method. But as I say before, this is something that perhaps you should go into more detail in at a later point. So now I'm going to put right host, and instead of hello service name, I'm actually going to put the service name is running and foreground color of green. So let's see what we get. Okay. In fact, I probably should have. Let's clear that screen and run that one more time. Oh, okay. I've made a mistake there. I don't know if you spotted that. I cleared the screen and ran the script again because I wanted to show you the output from this a little more clearly. But of course, because of the fact that this logic in the script started the service again, it's now gone back to being the correct condition because the service is running. So I need to stop the service one more time. I'm so lazy, I don't know why I'm going back to do this when I could simply have typed stop. There we go. Now let's clear the screen. I'm going to run this again. The service should be stopped, which means that we get all of the output from here. So there we go. Service is down. Warning, attempting to start the Xbox Net API service. It then runs this little bit of PowerShell, this method to go to my service and start it again. Xbox Net API service is running. Now, if I'm completely honest, I cannot 100% trust this because there is no logic here testing this for me. There is no try catch or anything like that, and we'll talk about that another time. But I am very confident that the service is running. Let me bring that service up. Oh, sorry, I need to actually run this action instead. You can see it's running. So the reason that the status is saying stopped here is because I ran this variable right at the start of my scripts, and that is now going to say stopped until I run the entire line again. what I did here was I simply ran this section so I could check the genuine status of that service. So the service is running once more, and what it should mean is if I run this script one more time, it's actually going to pass that test and say hello service name in green, because it should be running at this stage. Let's see. And there we go. Hello Xbox and the Power Service. Now I've spent 10 minutes talking about something very simple in a lot of detail. The reason for that is because I'm trying to just make this as clear as possible in terms of how an if statement works. There is an awful lot more that you can do with this, an awful lot more complexity, certainly much more best practice that you can put into this. But I really just wanted to show the basic mechanics of an if statement, and hopefully that will make sense.